Today, we're diving into a massive global race, a high-stakes competition with billions of dollars on the line. And at the center of it all is one country's incredibly ambitious plan to come out on top. Let's get into Thailand's mission to dominate the world of healthcare tourism.
So let's start with a number, a really big number that sets the whole stage. $190 billion. That's what the global medical tourism industry is projected to be worth by 2026. You know, this isn't just a few people flying somewhere for a procedure. It's a gigantic economic engine, and it's being fueled by everything from aging populations to skyrocketing healthcare costs in the West.
So the huge question is, with that much money on the table and so many countries fighting for their piece of the pie, how does one nation even begin to stand out? How do you become the number one go-to destination for millions of patients all over the world? Well, here's Thailand's answer, and it is incredibly bold. They're not just trying to compete, they're aiming to flat-out dominate, to become the undisputed world-class healthcare capital by the year 2030. And this vision, this ambition, is exactly what we're breaking down.
Okay, so to really get that 2030 vision, we have to look at why Thailand is already such a powerhouse in this space. What exactly is this Thai advantage that has everyone talking?
What's so fascinating is how they blend the old with the new. On one hand, you've got these incredibly modern, internationally accredited hospitals, but that's paired with this deep heritage in wellness. We're talking ancient practices, traditional Thai massage, herbal remedies, things you just can't find anywhere else. You combine that with their world-famous hospitality and some very specific medical expertise, and you've got a recipe for success that's really hard for anyone else to copy.
And let's be honest, this right here is probably one of the biggest drivers, the cost. I mean, we're talking about getting the exact same high-tech treatments, complex heart surgeries, for example, for a tiny fraction of what they'd cost in the US or Europe, and crucially, without sacrificing the quality of care. That economic pull is just massive.
And we are not talking about a trickle of patients here. Before the pandemic hit, more than 2.5 million people were traveling to Thailand for healthcare. Every single year. I mean, to put that in perspective, that's bigger than the entire population of some countries. It's so clear that their model was already a huge success.
And it's not all just about surgery either. A huge, and I mean huge piece of the puzzle is wellness tourism. This is where that cultural heritage really gets to shine. Think about it, a week-long yoga retreat on a peaceful beach, a detox program with traditional herbs. This part of the market is just exploding. It's growing twice as fast as regular tourism, and Thailand is perfectly positioned to own it. But of course, it's not all smooth sailing. You don't just become the world's healthcare capital without hitting some serious bumps in the road. Thailand has to deal with challenges both at home and from rivals abroad. So let's look at the hurdles on their path.
You see, this is the classic problem with growing so fast. It puts a ton of stress on your own system. You get shortages of skilled doctors and nurses, which can strain the local healthcare network. And whenever something gets this popular, you run the risk of scams and unqualified providers popping up, which could totally tarnish the country's reputation if they're not careful.
And the competition starts right in their own backyard. You've got Singapore and Malaysia, who are both serious rivals with their own specialties. These three countries together are basically a Southeast Asian medical tourism powerhouse, which makes the regional competition incredibly fierce.
And the race doesn't stop there. It's global now. Countries all over the world, from South Korea with its focus on cosmetics, to India, to the UAE, they're all pouring cash into their own healthcare sectors. They all want a slice of that massive $190 billion pie, which turns this into a true worldwide battle.
So, you've got these internal strains and this ferocious global competition. What's the game plan? How does Thailand actually pull ahead of the pack? This brings us to the heart of their strategy for the next decade. And here it is, a really clear 4-step strategy. First, integrate their unique strengths. Mix the high-tech with the traditional wellness. Second, double down on quality to build trust. Third, innovate new products so they can't be easily copied. And fourth, strategically go after new booming markets. It's a pretty solid plan, right? Building on what they do best while trying to fix their weak spots.
This quote really nails it. The strategy isn't just about economics. It's cultural. They're leveraging what they call their healing and cultural capital. That's their secret sauce, the thing that other countries will find almost impossible to replicate.
And this is where the plan gets real, where ideas turn into action. So service integration isn't just a buzzword,
It means actually creating packages where you combine, say, a knee replacement surgery with a 2-week wellness retreat at a spa afterwards. It's just a smarter, more complete package that's tough for anyone else to compete with.
But right as Thailand was rolling out this grand plan, the entire world slammed on the brakes. The COVID-19 pandemic just threw a massive wrench into everything, forcing a total reset. The new mission? To rethink, rebuild, and renew.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It shows how absolutely devastating the impact was. You go from a record-breaking peak in 2019 to a complete standstill in 2020. The foreign patients, the lifeblood of the industry, just vanished overnight. The whole market had to be rethought from the ground up, which brings us to this really challenging rebuild and renew phase we're in now.
But, every crisis has two sides. On one hand, the pandemic has made people more health conscious than ever before, which could be an absolute goldmine for wellness tourism. But, on the other hand, they're facing the threat of these brutal price wars from competitors desperate to get back in the game, plus the reality that people just aren't as willing to take long-haul flights yet. It's a really high-stakes moment.
And you have to understand, this wasn't just a pause, it was a fundamental reset. With all the international clients gone, the industry had no choice but to turn its attention inward, to the domestic market, for the first time in a very long time. It forced them to completely reevaluate their entire business model.
This quote basically became their rallying cry, and it just perfectly captures the moment. It's not about trying to get back to how things were in 2019, it's about building something new, something that's maybe stronger and more resilient for whatever the future holds. And that really leaves us with this one crucial question for the future. As we all start traveling the world again, what are we going to value more? A cheap procedure or a truly authentic, rejuvenating wellness experience? The answer to that question will ultimately decide if Thailand can really truly claim that global healthcare crown.